All right, so you know how sometimes you just get that feeling like you're about to walk into a room and everyone's talking about something big and you're not totally sure what's going on?
That left out of the loop feeling. Yeah, I know it well.
Exactly. Well, today we're making sure you are the one in the know because we're diving deep into ASML.
Now, that's a name I've been hearing a lot lately.
Right. Everyone in the tech world seems to be whispering about them, so I've got their quarterly report pulled up, press releases, even some market analysis all ready to go.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so ASML just dropped their Q3 2024 performance numbers, and get this, 7.5 billion in sales. That's billion with a B.
Wow, okay. They're definitely not hurting for business.
Nope, they even blew past their own predictions. But here's the thing. There's always more to the story than just the headline numbers, right?
Always.
Hmm.
Especially in the tech world. What's the catch?
Well, for starters, ASML, they're not actually making the chips themselves. They're the ones building the machines that make the chips. Those incredibly precise, ridiculously complex machines.
Ah, so like the master tool makers of the chip-making world. Makes sense. If their tools aren't selling, nobody's making chips.
Exactly. So when ASML is doing well, it usually means the entire tech industry is gearing up for something big.
Okay, so that's good news then.
Well, it's complicated. While those sales figures are exciting, we need to dig a little deeper.
You know I'm all about the deep dive. Hit me with the details.
Okay, so check this out. The report highlights something called installed base management sales, and apparently those are up too.
Hmm. Installed base management sounds like something out of a corporate jargon dictionary. What is that in plain English?
Right. Basically, it means ASML's service and maintenance agreements. Think of it like, an extended warranty on your car, but for a multi-million-dollar chip-making machine.
Okay, starting to get the picture.
Hmm.
So if those sales are up, does that mean maybe chip makers are holding back on buying brand new equipment?
You're catching on. It might mean some companies are tightening their belts, maybe delaying those big factory upgrades, even with all the hype around AI.
Interesting. Playing it safe for now. All right, what else is in this report?
Let's see. Oh, this is a big one. They break down sales by something called EUV and DUV. Any idea what those are?
Let me guess. EUV. It's something like extreme ultraviolet.
You got it. Extreme ultraviolet lithography.
That's good.
Oh, yeah, that's the top of the line stuff. The most advanced etching tool you need to create those crazy, powerful microchips everyone wants.
So what about DEV then?
That's deep ultraviolet lithography. Basically, the older tech, still super important for a ton of chips, but not quite as cutting edge as EUV.
Got it. So like the difference between a regular smartphone camera and what are they calling it these days? Computational photography with a billion lenses.
Exactly. And knowing the difference between these technologies, EUV versus DUV, is key to understanding how advanced a chip and the company making it actually is.
Makes you wonder, how many of each did they actually sell?
Well, get this. ASML shipped a whopping 116 lithography systems last quarter. That's a whole lot of chip-making power going out the door.
Wow, 116, that's not just a number. That's a statement. So knowing what we know now about EUV and DUV, what kind of statement is that? And who are they making that statement to?
That, my friend, is a fantastic question. And to answer it, well, we're going to have to factor in a certain global superpower.
You're talking about China, aren't you?
Maybe? Let's dig into that next. So you've got ASML shipping out all this cutting-edge equipment, raking in billions, but then there's the whole China situation. Things get kind of interesting there.
Right, because on the one hand, they're clearly banking on this huge surge in demand for AI chips globally.
Which, let's be real, China is going to be a big part of that, right?
Exactly. But then you've got these export restrictions. The U.S. government putting pressure on the Netherlands, where ASML is based, to block the sale of their most advanced machines, the EUV ones we were just talking about.
Trying to limit China's access to that top-tier chip-making tech.
Exactly. It's a big geopolitical chess match.
Yeah.
And ASML is right in the middle of it.
So how are they handling it? Have they said anything about how these export restrictions are impacting them?
Well, they did revise their 2025 outlook. Remember how they were initially aiming for like 40 billion euros in sales?
Yeah, huge numbers.
So now they're saying more like 30 to 35 billion.
Okay, so a little less ambitious, but still a ton of money.
Right, but it's the lower end of what they were initially hinting at. And a lot of analysts are pointing to those export restrictions as the main reason for the revision.
Makes sense. China's a huge market for this kind of technology. Losing out on that has gotta hurt, even if the overall demand for chips is skyrocketing.
It's definitely a blow. Remember that analyst report you sent over? The one that claimed China used to make up almost half of ASML's business?
Yeah, like 49% or something crazy like
Right,
that.
and now they're projecting it to be closer to 20%.
Wow, that's a massive hit. Talk about a curveball. It makes you wonder how ASML is strategizing for the future. Because on the one hand, they're facing these immediate challenges, but they're also pouring money into R&D, developing the next generation of chip-making tech.
That's the thing about ASML. They're playing the long game. It's like they're building the spaceship before we even have a launch pad ready.
I like that analogy. They're thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, everyone's going crazy for AI right now, but it's still early days.
Right. We haven't even begun to see the full impact of AI on things like, smartphones and computers. And those mega fabs we keep hearing about, the ones that are going to churn out all those AI chips, those are still being built.
It's going to be a while before those are up and running at full capacity.
Exactly. So ASML is in a tricky spot. They've got this huge potential market for AI chips on the horizon. But in the meantime, they have to navigate these choppy waters.
Choppy waters being the perfect way to put it. Export restrictions, cautious spending in other tech sectors.
And let's not forget, chip making is a notoriously cyclical industry.
Yeah.
So even without all these geopolitical tensions, ASML would still be facing a certain level of uncertainty.
It's true. So how do they do it? How do they even begin to plan for the future when there are so many variables at play? It really makes you appreciate what companies like ASML are dealing with, trying to make these billion-dollar decisions when the ground is constantly shifting beneath their feet.
It's like trying to predict the weather months in advance. You can make educated guesses, look at historical trends, but there's always a chance a storm will pop up out of nowhere.
And in ASML's case, those storms can be geopolitical as much as they are economic, technological.
Exactly. So how do you plan for that? Well, one way is to kind of like hedge your bets.
Which is what it seems like they're doing, right? I mean, we talked about those mega fabs that are being built, those giant factories for AI chips. But those aren't going to be up and running for a while.
Right. So you've got ASML saying, hey, we're all in on AI. It's the future.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you look at their financials and their free cash flow is down.
Yeah, and part of that is because they're stockpiling inventory, right? Like holding on to these key components for their machines instead of selling them right away.
It's a risky move because holding on to all that inventory, it ties up a lot of cash. But if their bet pays off, if that demand for AI chips really explodes like they're predicting.
They'll be the only ones who can meet that demand. Everyone else will be scrambling to catch up.
Precisely. And that, my friend, is how you turn uncertainty into a competitive advantage.
It's like a high-stakes poker game, except instead of chips, we're talking about the future of technology.
And billions upon billions of dollars. So for anyone listening who's thinking about investing in tech stocks, following these industry
Or
trends,
even just trying to understand the forces shaping the world around us.
ASML is a case study in how to navigate complexity. They're not just reacting to change, they're anticipating it.
So what we're saying is, if ASML's the canary in the coal mine, it might be time to start paying attention to what it's singing about.
Exactly. Because the decisions they make today, the bets they place, they're going to have ripple effects for years to come. They're not just building chip-making machines. They're building the foundation for the future of technology.
And that's the future we all have a stake in. Well said. I think that's a great place to wrap things up. Thanks for diving into the details with me.
Always a pleasure. Until next time.